Welcome, everyone, to today's discussion of Culpability by Bruce Holsinger. What an interesting read. A friend of mine just asked me about the book, and I said I thought it was a great book club book because there's so much to discuss. So with that, I will turn it over to whoever would like to be the first to give some comments on culpability. Susan, this was one of your recommendations?
I think it was uh, because I had seen that it was an Oprah recommendation. It's one of her books. So interestingly, just half hour ago, as I was thinking about that, I turned into there's like a video of Oprah interviewing the author, and so that was a very interesting discussion too. Yes, I loved it. I loved the topics. Yeah, I thought he did a nice job of making it a um, kind of a fun read or interesting enough that I was, turning pages and sort of couldn't wait to get back to it. The whole thing, the accident happens right from the beginning. And then, of course, all of a sudden, you could see various things that are going to complicate the situation. And then, of course, as the book goes on and more little twists come, what does Alice have to tell? What does Izzy, have to tell? What do we learn about the guy, the rich guy, who actually owned the cottage they were in? I thought it was a nice blend of good storytelling and then learning a lot and making you think about the pros and cons of how we interact with AI. And I thought it was kind of clever how he made her, the wife, an expert in this so that she had written a book. So he could sort of do a little teaching, through excerpts in the book about AI and what are some of the dilemmas. Can AI, we start to think of it as a person, but is it really, can it be good? Can it be trained to be good? I could just sit here and ask a lot of questions really rather than answer them. But I thought it was full of those stimulating thoughts. Then along comes the detective, and she's saying, I dislike the AI being blamed, or the electronics being blamed because it kind of helps let people off the hook, even when they are acting carelessly. So, just each page or each chapter kind of hit another topic related to the interaction of people and AI. So, anyway, those are my numerous first thoughts.
Who
Anyone
would like
else?
who would like to jump in?
Well,
Mary,
I'll
you're
just, sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Diane.
No, I was just going to say, I think for me, it was a nice story that covered a lot of different topics, right? Like family relationships, um, the husband-wife relationship, but then between the kids, and it brought up a lot more questions than it gave answers, right? But I think that was really the purpose of the book is to get you to think um, about AI and what it is, and it came at it from different perspectives. So like the older daughter's relationship with the AI on her phone.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that was kind of interesting.
Do you remember
And
what the AI app name
Yeah.
was? Doesn't
Blair.
Blair?
Blair.
yeah, well, yeah, uh, and then just the sibling rivalry between the three children and being the oldest and the middle and the youngest child. I mean, there were just so many topics that he touched upon. The husband-wife relationships, I already said that, but you know, non-disclosure agreements, the impact of wealth on uh, your culpability, right? That that if you have a lot of wealth, you can make problems go away. It was just, I thought it packed a lot of different things into this one story. But I liked it. Yeah.
Mary, do you want to jump in?
Um, yeah, I really liked the book too. Yeah, because there was so much to it. Um, for example, it was interesting how by the end of the book, every family member had some culpability, I believe, in that accident. Um, but then the AI ended up taking all the legal blame, I guess. Yeah, there was this. Um, yeah, and a lot of different aspects of the AI, like you said about the the girl's app on the phone, her companion, AI companion, and of course the car. And it talked a little bit interestingly when she was thinking about taking the job, the military. And there was this one line where it mentioned, keeping drones from accidentally bombing a school, I think. And at that point, I had to go back and look at the copyright of this book to see it was written before the Iran incident where the school was bombed. And so
Was it or wasn't it?
the copyright was 2025.
Yeah, before.
Yeah, so it was written before that. And
But people were thinking about the potential dangers of using drones.
right, yeah.
Well, and intelligence, because I think they were using old intelligence, weren't they? For
The
that
real
particular,
school bombing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually don't know if it was using an AI drone or a manually controlled drone. Just that they mentioned school bombing, it was um, really popped out to me that um, I guess some of the perhaps predictive predictions that this author has.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been some time since I finished this book, and I'm trying to remember what was the recompense for the Iowa couple, for the couple that was killed. Can you refresh my memory?
I think that the well, I think that the family settled, no, not the family, I'm sorry, that the wealthy boss
Yeah.
settled
Okay.
with the family with the agreement that they would not file a civil suit against the
The young
main character
teenager,
family,
Charlie?
against that family, yeah, or the father. So there would be no civil suit. We'll as a company who were manufacturers or the creators, he settled on their behalf. Oh, I was gonna say the other topic that they talked about were just like two other topics that I thought were interesting that came out of this was the expectations of how, parents sometimes live through their kids and how the narrator, the father, was struggling with, what his upbringing and what he wanted for his son and he was more upset about the loss of his lacrosse scholarship than the son was necessarily, but it also like it brought that up. And then also just this class kind of this relationship between the husband and wife where the husband felt the wife was just so much more intelligent and her whole family and the different backgrounds that they came from and how that affected their marriage. I thought that was really interesting as well. So there was so much more than just AI in this book, I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
Yeah,
yeah,
there was family dynamics, there were couple dynamics, there was sexual tension with the young people and the couple, and you were wondering, or at least I was wondering about what was her name? Lorelei and Daniel Monet, the company president. Um, I thought that the author did a really good job of planting seeds,
Yeah.
and then you were thinking, oh, this is going to happen, or the little was it Izzy and the app, Izzy and Blair, or was it Allison Blair?
Alice.
Allison Blair.
Yeah.
And you knew that she was talking to an app, and yet and so I just kept thinking, what is it what's her secret? And I
Yeah.
thought he did a good job of sort of leading me along with always that question, what's her secret? What's her secret? And I was sort of disappointed at the end when it wasn't a bigger deal than it was. I didn't think it was all of that, I don't know, worth all of the hype.
Yeah. You mean the fact, well, which secret are you talking about? That Izzy was texting Charlie during the ride, and that Charlie was texting back to her, or the fact that Alice was
Alice,
just mad that he was texting, so she kind of, screamed out,
it was
and
the Alice
that one.
knowing that he was texting while he was driving. And then the
Yeah,
whole notion of the autonomous vehicle.
yeah.
And I don't know enough about autonomous vehicles to know, I guess they're, is that happening? Can you drive down the highway and not pay attention to
I
what's
think it is.
Isn't
going
there a
on?
bus on North Campus or something that is supposed to drive itself?
Right, but personal vehicles, are we
Oh,
there?
I think there are some. I
Okay.
do.
Well,
I don't
that's, yeah, part of the thing. Can you really legitimately so-called drive or sit in the driver's seat and have your hands off the wheel and be doing something else? Because that's what he was doing. And we all don't like the fact that, texting and driving, but if it's just almost like if you're a passenger in a car, it's okay to text while someone else is driving. But if the car itself is driving itself, was he really wrong? There's where the legality is really complex. And my guess is over time, those things will be sorted out. I don't know how it is sold, with what sorts of guidelines, like can you literally get in there? And when I looked at the interview between Oprah and the author, they were talking about driverless vehicles, even a semi truck. They showed a picture of one or a video of one. So, I guess it's hard then to criticize him for texting if it really wasn't going to have any effect. But the thing that had the effect was that he grabbed the wheel. I think, and therefore somehow hit the car. Might the AI part of the vehicle have steered it away from that other couple who was just starting to cross the line? And therefore, maybe he, as the human, did more harm than good because he interfered with what the AI might otherwise have done.
mhm.
I mean,
And
I think,
were they really crossing the line? Wasn't
yeah,
there
there was a
some
question
question
about
at the end if it was not his reaction that may have been caused the accident?
yeah,
They
yeah.
left that up to the air in the book, really, I think, because
Mhm.
thinking exactly what you just stated.
And then what were the two parents' responsibility to observe or manage the driver? Because both of the parents were consumed with their work. Um,
Right,
and
right.
I know when we do a lot of driving because we're 4 hours from some of our healthcare appointments. So I'm on my phone a lot when we're in the car. And so I'm not paying attention to Steve when he's driving. Not that I feel like I have to, but at our age, four eyes are better than two.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right.
Well, you have to pay
I,
attention. You don't pay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to jump in, Corinne?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you don't have AI, you probably want to pay attention, you know, with help him out. And if you were driving, would you want him to pay attention? You know, I don't know. That's, I guess, something the couple works out. But I agree with what she said. They did kind of leave that open at the end, and you really didn't know. And perhaps the car would have sped up and avoided it or whatever, or the other car might not have come out of its lane anymore. So
I
you,
think that's what Alice was struggling with, the
yeah,
guilt of screaming, right? If she hadn't screamed, he wouldn't have grabbed the wheel. And they may
Mhm.
never have even known that there was a chance that the car was coming over in the lane a little bit.
They all had some measure of guilt, I think.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
the mother who developed the, you know,
Well,
the
is it guilt or it's just extenuating circumstances that played a part? Because it just seems that the people responsible are the people, the AI and its developers and how accurately it was done, and the driver. I mean, in any car accident, that's really who's responsible. And because someone else yells or something happens, it's not, they're not really guilty. They're
that's right.
contributing factors.
They
Mhm.
all had something to they felt, I think, to tell somebody else what happened. And
Yeah.
and and then they wondered about their part. And I don't know if the young girl Alice regretted screaming. I think she felt she did what she needed to protect them, you know.
Well, that was her story. But then I thought when she and Blair, got, uh, as they were talking towards the end, she actually deleted her account because
Mhm.
she felt she had sort of incriminated herself by telling the truth, which was, I think that she was kind of angry at her brother and sort of did that, even though it
Right.
was, so everything was left with a little touch of ambiguity, I believe, and always showing that for many situations, there are many, many factors involved. And the question of who's responsible or not. Like at one point, Noah thought he was responsible because he was in the front seat with the son. But if the son really didn't have to have his hands on the wheel, then it kind of didn't matter if the dad was on the laptop, except perhaps it still feels like, can we then just put ourselves 100% in the hands of electronics and artificial intelligence? Do we need to be there though as just a backup? So to teach the kid not to text while driving, even if it is an electronic vehicle. But I don't know. The mom, of course, as it turns out, was very instrumental in getting that vehicle going. And she still believed in the fact that the algorithm should be fine if no one interferes with the algorithm, which of course they did. You can go round and round on this one, yeah.
Well, I'm
I'm
trying to think what kind of a car my daughter, one of my children, has, and her family. And they drive 4 hours or 5 hours because I won't go out to my son-in-law decided he wanted to be a French chef in the Adirondacks. So they drive from New Jersey up there fairly often. So they bought a car that you put on, you don't have to put your foot on the pedal, uh, and it just keeps going. And I believe it also can change lanes because it can sense the cars in front of it or behind it. But the driver, it can and is supposed to always be able to touch the wheel and manually over whatever you call it. Can't think of the
Override.
word. Override or whatever. Override the instructions of the car.
So it does exist.
Mhm.
So it's sort of in between. It's sort of in between. I think, I don't know exactly how much it can do. I think I did hear from her that it does can change lanes if it senses something. Uh, Further than that, I don't think it does more, but I'm really not sure. I'll have to ask her.
I think it can stop and it can maybe accelerate.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably. Yeah,
my car, if like if we're going around we have a 2-lane road to get from Key West to the mainland. And some of the turns are rather sharp. And so if a vehicle is coming around a sharp curve, sometimes my car thinks that I'm going to have a head on and it'll go brake, brake, brake. So
so it
and it will
senses
actually
it.
slow the car down.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
it senses how close I set it to if I have it in what's it called?
Cruise
Auto
control.
dri Cruise control. Um, I'll set it the distance that I want to follow the car and how many car lengths I want to have. So there are some of
that's
those,
Oh,
but
Yeah.
pretty AI.
I have to keep my hands on the steering wheel and make sure that well, it actually has lane guidance. So but I
mhm.
turn that off because it's always pushing, I can always feel it wanting to turn the car
Mm.
into the lane. So I did turn that off. So there are, I guess,
So that is the same probably car. If you didn't do that, it would change lanes.
yeah. Yikes. Well, I don't do that.
Well, I looked it up that Tesla does have two different tiers of, I guess, self-driving capability. One, a
Okay.
basic autopilot, it says, which provides adaptive cruise control and lane centering steering, which I think other cars have as well. But they also have full self-driving supervised mode. Um, so
But
I
didn't
don't
you get the sense that this car it was really set up to be an unsupervised
Yeah, I
drive,
think so.
sort of an
Mhm.
auto drive? And
well, it was probably still supposed to be supervised.
Yeah.
But Tesla says it can allow the car to navigate city streets, stop at traffic lights, handle intersections, and perform autonomous lane changes and parking. So um, I know my
Yeah.
car would do the can do um, the lane centering steering, and
yeah, yeah.
I was going down Huron River Drive and went to pass a bicycle, and the car, was trying to steer me back into the lane.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got home, I turned off that function.
Uh-huh.
I was yelling at the car, no, I'm not, no, that's a bicycle there.
But
So,
you know what I think you could do to avoid that? If you've got the lane guidance thing on, it doesn't know. Usually, what it's doing, it kind of pulls you if you're changing lanes, and it doesn't know that. It thinks you're just drifting. But
right.
if you put your blinker on to tell it and the
Oh,
people behind you that you are going to even
that's
shift a
true.
little,
Yeah.
then it will allow you to do that without trying to pull you anywhere because it knows you're trying to do something different. So anyway, just try that sometime, see if you like it.
So what did you all think about the um mother's anxiety and her condition and how what role that played in the book? I'm just curious.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
Yet another,
Refresh my memory about her condition.
She had she was OCD. She was
CD.
extreme OCD, extreme, um, uh, like I'm trying to remember all the details of it, but to the point where, I mean, she could have to have days in bed, right? Didn't she have to like just be isolated where and I don't know if it was a comment on like, it was supposed to be a commentary on just the husband-wife relationship or her brilliance came along with or, along with this mental health issues. I was just curious what other people thought.
I'm just not remembering it. That's why I was
Mhm.
hoping somebody could.
Well,
He had debilitating. Go
I
ahead.
wondered if she knew that, she didn't tell her husband about the fact that she knew Monet and that she for 2 years, well, she worked with him, and the fact that he paid off whatever he reimbursed the was it Drummond family, I can remember their last name, that were killed, the two senior citizens that were killed. And I don't know if she knew that. I wasn't clear in the book if she already knew that had happened, or she seemed to tell her husband about it. I don't know how he found out. I can't remember, but there was all this stuff that she already knew.
Mhm.
I didn't, she didn't seem that upset about. Maybe she knew that we would decide on the car, that the car would be responsible. So because she designed it, and that's what
Yeah.
a car is supposed to do.
And I
Yeah.
sense that she thought her technology might be in jeopardy
Yeah.
if this case were to go to trial. It would reflect poorly on the technology and her what she had created.
I guess I didn't think she felt too nervous about all of it. It was her husband who got the lawyer, all of that. She never.
She had mental health issues from day one when they met. He describes her mental health issues.
Right, but I don't know that she was having those kinds of issues about the accident.
No, my point was, like, why was that? I did what I like. I'm trying to understand that if why he included that in a story. Like that wasn't to me,
Oh,
the fact that this woman had had severe mental health issues from when she was a young woman, right? He talks about when he first met her and they were still at university, and how she would have to go in for days in bed, I think, because she couldn't deal with, she would get so overwhelmed. And so maybe he was just trying to bring in like mental health issues into because he was touching on so many different topics, right? And maybe that was just another one. So I don't know, I guess it didn't grab people the way it grabbed me, because I thought it was interesting. Is this the book where they said sometimes secrets are worse than lies?
I don't remember that.
Yes, I
What
remember.
was it?
I think it what
This
is.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they talk, yeah, where they talked about that,
Mhm.
um, which I thought was real. I mean, that was something to think about. Like, I mean, there were just so many things that he brought up, topics just to get you to kind of think, right?
Mhm. Mhm. But I think in her job, besides just designing this algorithm or whatever, to get the car to run, she had this growing um, burden that more and more she was the only one who really understood kind of how it worked, how it was what it was programmed to do. That's why she would take some of it personally, that since she designed the algorithm and there was a failure, not necessarily of the algorithm, but with people interfering with the algorithm
Mhm.
and not letting it do its thing. I think the anxiety, and then finally towards the end, when her husband said, you ought to write another book, just explain this to everybody so they can understand it, better. Because she talked a lot about sort of the nature of the AI as you're programming it. Like she wanted, when she was programming, um, the thing about the drones. She wanted it to be for good, to spare schools and children and all. And then, sort of without her even knowing, to my understanding, the guy takes it and puts it in warfare, and uses it for warfare, which was never her original intention. At least if I read that correctly. So it's like sometimes you can design something just for the scientific achievement of it, and then boy, sometimes you've opened a Pandora's box that it's used for other things. So yeah,
It's like
that's all.
genes today and all
Yeah.
the genetic
Oh,
technologies.
yeah. Um, yeah.
Well, did you there was just on the news right before I joined the meeting about an open AI that hacked a company. Did you all see that?
I didn't see the
Hacked
news today.
it.
I read
Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Did you say that hacked a company? Is that?
Yeah. Oh, that an AI, open AI, hacked into a company on its own without anyone telling it
They
to.
were testing an AI program that to look for vulnerabilities, but the article I read said that program went rogue and went out of its sort of what was supposed to be its test area and ended up hacking a digital library company.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Mhm.
So
I didn't read that.
yeah,
It's
So,
just
so it
breaking
didn't,
news.
Times
yeah,
this morning.
it didn't think of it on its own. It was asked to do something, but
Right.
the track that it
Out
took,
of the out of the test area, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And another thing interesting in this book was it mentioned, I think, in sort of the book, the notes from the book she ended up writing, um, the idea of programming morality into the AI. And I found that pretty interesting. That's not
Yeah.
something that I heard about
Well,
before.
and then it talked about remorse, right? I mean, that's what humans can feel remorse, and this was much about was the remorse that each of the individual family members felt. But I thought the book kind of was saying you can't really do that with AI. You can't you can't really make it feel remorse. And so that's where, like, how moral can it be if
Mm.
it can't feel remorse?
Right. Yeah. You can't feel it because we have to keep reminding ourselves, I guess it doesn't have feelings, but
Right.
can it learn how moral behavior, how people with morals work and how it influences them? And can it incorporate in its decision making so that in fact it is sort of acting in a moral fashion that it learned? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of making this up. I'm just thinking out loud. But yeah.
But I'm
you
thinking
read it.
about the morality of the father. Um, immediately they get an attorney.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're trying to protect their son. There's a question of blame or fault, and yet the family is the dad is so concerned about his son and his scholarship, and it was like they were more concerned about protecting their son than really understanding what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the police officer, I think in the end
He-
he understood what happened,
Yeah.
but because of the technology, there was no way to subscribe blame,
Right. Right.
So a lot
or
of these people,
no clear path to blame.
I remember too something about that it at they make a decision, or the AI might decide how many people are here and here, Do you remember something about that? And then it says, okay, the lesser of two evils, and I don't
Oh,
that
yeah.
it couldn't have known how many people were in the other car.
Mhm.
So I don't know if the thing had that capability or not.
Mhm.
But like these drones and things,
Well,
they
was that related to the warfare technology and
it might have been, but it was also the AI capability that, in terms of the lesser of two evils,
Yeah.
type of thing
Right.
it would
Right.
choose or do.
well, and our military does, I think our military does that all the time. There are some, I can't think of the word off the top of my head, but there are some unintended consequences. You kill
That's right. There's
people.
a whole, it's a whole legal sort of thing. And the lawyers, there's apparently lawyers who are in the room when the military commanders are thinking of what to do.
Mhm.
And there's some kind of equation of how important the target is and how many people, innocents, you can kill during that. And the more important target that it is, the more innocent people can be killed by doing that action.
Right.
Yeah.
Collateral damage.
Collateral damage.
Collateral damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. And I think they started that discussion because um, didn't someone, I can't remember which family member, was saying they were a little relieved when they heard that the two people who died were a 65-year-old couple, because wouldn't it have been worse if it was like a very young couple with young children or something like that? And then that's when they kind of started talking a little bit about how do you weigh, if you had to make a decision between those sorts of things, is the number of people, is age of people, is the type of people they are. It's
I think I read about something like that with some medical things. If certain
yeah,
treatments are in short supply,
right,
somebody is going to have to choose who gets it and who doesn't.
exactly.
And some of the things had to do with age.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like transplants, if there's only a certain amount of organs, trying to figure out who would benefit the most for the longest, so yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Gosh.
I
That's
was
why I
just,
said there's so many topics that
Mhm.
were touched on.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just at a medical appointment and they were um, reviewing sort of end of life decisions. And she said, did I want to be, how did I feel about resuscitation and intubation?
Oh yeah.
And I said, well, today I want to be resuscitated and intubated.
Yeah.
There may be a date in the future where that's not so important to me. But today I want you to do everything you can to save my life.
Right. Right. Well, then that's when they make you go through the whole thing about if I would want you to if my brain is
Yeah,
functioning. Even
right.
if I'm brain dead, do I want to? They give you all the scenarios and you kind of pick from them. But hopefully, you just can also have someone to speak for you who sort of, and then you have to
Knows.
go through them, yeah, with the various scenarios with them and try to make sure they understand. So, anyway, yeah, yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law is facing some end of life decisions, and he's worried that um,
Wow.
if he puts in DNR, DNI, that they'll give up on him, that they won't do anything. Um,
Oh,
it's,
No.
I hope no. I think it's
well, I
No.
hope not either, but that's his thinking,
yeah,
Mhm.
that if he puts that down, they'll just give up.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of I mean, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but I think a little bit of an old-fashioned thing that may have been in practice in the past. But I think for many, many years now, since the great acceptance of more symptom-based care, that not probably, but it shouldn't happen that way. It's not like, oh, we're not going to resuscitate you, we're not going to give you everything, we're giving you
You're
nothing.
old, we're going to let you
No one does
go.
that. Yeah. So I
Oh,
think,
it's like
yeah,
hospice,
yeah.
people don't want any of that resuscitation or anything, but they still treat people, give them painkillers and all of that. I think that, well, you know more than me, but you think, I think that if you do the DNI, the do not intubate, they just won't send you to the intensive care unit. They'll just keep you on the ward where you are, or the unit or the room or whatever,
Yeah.
and treat you without sending you to the ICU.
Could well be.
Well, I just thought there were so many things to talk about. Sally, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I thought this was a great summer read. It was kind of a page turner. You wanted to know what's going to happen next, what's around the corner for these people. They just keep seeming to have bad fall on them, and um, it was interesting that to Diane's comments about Lorelai. She was an interesting character. There were some things in there I wondered if we really needed him or not, but she was a complex character. I think that part of her, how she was wired made her really good for her job. Um, and gave her the focus and the brain power to be able to create that algorithm and work with Daniel Monet's company and um, agree to the NDA and all that stuff. But then there was this other side of her that was very anxious for her children, and she was writing this book that was talking, that was really questioning the morals of the very tools that she was so good at creating. So she was kind of a complex character. Maybe they could have done more with it or less. I don't really know. It wasn't a perfect book necessarily, but I thought it was very enjoyable. um, this is not necessarily going to be spoken by me at every book group meeting, but it was another kind of example of the great power of rich people to be able to control their world. Um, as I complained about a little bit with Theo, sorry everybody, last month, and that's the way our world is. I'm not saying it's just in the books. It is our world. And it was written out here for us to read, along with a lot of information about AI. And these are things that I don't necessarily really want to think about that much. I kind of like to stay in denial about the power of AI and the dark side and the fears that come with it. But I found it entertaining, and it did give me a lot to think about. Definitely.
And I thought it was a fast read because the chapters were like 3 to 5 pages, maybe six. And it was so short, you wanted to see what the next thing was that was going to happen. And so I found myself reading longer than I thought maybe I would. And so I completed the book quicker too. And it was nice to go between the chapters, which was the dad's narration, and then his wife's um, statements in her book or whatever, her written statements about AI and things, and then the daughters talk with the AI. So it really had a nice variety of things to read and think about.
Do you think that Charlie really internalized the gravity of the accident? Did he feel bad enough to you?
I agree. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yep, yep.
Okay, because I switched into the car and I think my video dropped off, but hopefully the
We can
audio
hear
didn't.
you.
I can hear you. Okay, and I can hear you. Um, I kind of wondered, now granted he's a kid,
Yeah.
but a pretty serious thing happened. And right, the fact that once they're there, he's spending time with the girl, even when the lawyer's going to be coming. And, the dad kept saying, you got to take this seriously. You got to return the call to the detective and all, and he sort of didn't. Now, whether that was out of fear and just immaturity, I don't know, but you almost wonder. And there was the discussion, wasn't there, between the husband and wife about how he is kind of often let off the hook or coddled a little or never has to face big things in life without his parents fixing it for him, you know? So I don't know, right? Well, it wasn't the gnashing of teeth and wringing of one's hands that I might have expected. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about the moral lesson to him. What if he was let off, if as you said, let off the hook, and so what does that teach him about the seriousness of the circumstances?
Right.
Well, he lost his scholarship. He lost his scholarship.
Well, he did.
He had some consequences that for a person his age would have been pretty significant, right? I mean, he took some time off from starting school, and yeah, I think
But it was wasn't it the injury that negated his scholarship, that he could no longer. I'm thinking about the moral, ethical lessons that I think sometimes are few and far between with our younger people.
Well, and too, the dad was the narrator. We
Yeah.
really didn't hear Charlie's thoughts at
Right.
all. That might be another book. I don't know. But
And they did make the point that if it wasn't for the wealthy family being able to hire the lawyer, that he more likely would have had to pay more consequences.
Yes. And I think a lot of the book was, kind of like about a month after the accident. It was, I think that I consider that really early days.
yeah.
The family themselves had some serious injuries they were getting over. The mother had her neck brace that just came off when they, got to the lake house. And so I think he's processing all of that. It's processing time. Um, I think 6 months or 12 months down the road, let's find out where he's at with it, um, what he's thought, what he's encountered. Right now, his little sister's still going around on crutches. It's in the moment. And I don't think he's even really had the time to wrap his mind around the fact that two people died because their car hit them, really. And that may come. He's young. He, as you guys have said, he's had a golden life. His parents have fixed everything. They've just laid out this beautiful, as a lot of us do for our kids. We want them to do well. We want them to have advantages, and that's what he's used to. So, it may be coming. It may be coming. It's early. I think it's early days for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it's natural as parents, when you're processing everything that happened, to want to protect your children, right? So to lawyer up to me was not a abnormal thing. It was like you want to protect your child, even if he or she did something wrong. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch the series Adolescence?
No.
It is
No.
fantastic, and it deals with just those kind of issues. And a young boy, everybody would really like it. It's excellent.
Series with the young kid has an accident that kills someone.
It's not exactly an accident, but he's charged. The police come and charge this 15 or so year old boy with murdering a young girl.
Oh,
And
it wasn't a
and
car accident.
no,
Okay.
it's really superb.
It's a television or a cable?
It's on television. I think it's a Netflix miniseries.
Netflix, something like, okay.
Yeah.
It's called Adolescence or The
Mhm.
Adolescent.
Adolescence.
Adolescence. I have heard of that. I think it got some kind of Emmy
It won a
awards or
lot of
something, didn't it?
awards. It
Yeah,
won a lot
yeah.
of awards.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, good. I'll write that down.
Do you think the author purposefully made the dad insecure? I was trying to understand why the dad character was portrayed as insecure and had a lot of
Imposter syndrome.
insecurities and yeah, he just didn't feel like he leveled up to the was it the sister-in-law who was the attorney?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, the lawyer. Yeah,
And
right.
he just didn't quite meet the mark in terms of the family, and yet um Lorelai he and Lorelai seemed to, I mean, they made a family together.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
dynamics between her background coming from a very well-educated, wealthy family and him feeling um, inferior because he didn't come from that, even though he clearly made a successful career for himself and did really
Right.
well, right?
Right.
But
Well, he
there's
was a
just,
lawyer, wasn't he? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of got
yeah,
lost in the shuffle. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Excuse me, I'm just going to say goodbye to you all because now I have to switch into another car and this will just get a little bit goofy. But I enjoyed this very much and talk to you next month. So long.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks for the
Susan.
Bye, Susan.
recommendation. Okay, anybody else have any other comments that you want to add to the discussion?
Um,
So much to think about. And I like a book that kind of lingers in the back of my head, and things will come up and I'll think about it as it related to this book. And of course I always admire authors or I appreciate authors who are able to tell this kind of story that has so many um, topics, themes, and yet they all seem to come together at the end in a realistic and meaningful way. So next month we're reading The Most Fun We've Ever Had. We ever had, not we, but we ever had, by Claire Lombardo. So I hope to see you all then. So yeah, enjoy your cool temps, enjoy your clear air. I hope
We
you're
are.
I hope you're finished with the wildfire thing.
Who knows? Wildfires can just start any time.
They can.
Mhm.
They can. Well,
yeah.
But we'll pretend.
yeah. Well, good to see everyone.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. See you next month.
See you next
Thanks.
time. Take care.
Bye.